on this bad boy. Got the rear A-arms. Ooh, the furnace just shut off. You might be able to hear me now a little bit. Get a little bit of tunes going. You guys know when I'm doing builds, I like to hear music. I usually go back to the classic stuff, the air metal. So I got these parts together. What I usually do is I put all my pieces out for the next step. Kick this down. Kick this down one notch here so you can hear me. I usually go and I take all the parts out for each step. So I got all the screws laying here, hub carriers and screws, bushings, little drive shafts, and I didn't get bearings for this because I just happened to not have them at the time, and I just decided I was going to start building it. So it's not going to be like all out performance. It ain't going to be going that fast. It's just got the little 380. It's for my daughter. I could always upgrade the bearings later if we decide to go with a 540 or whatever. So as of right now, I'm going with that. So it shows you all the numbers: 2 bushings, screws, 2 screws, 2 screws, 2 bushings, and then the other pieces. So start assembling, and then what you do you just kind of watch and make sure that you're doing everything exactly the way it shows in the picture, and then you won't go wrong. So this one, you got to line that thing up in there. These are actually pretty beefy, because this could be a spot where a lot of vehicles suffer. And I'm going to show you something else too, because I've gotten flack for this before, but again, when you do things for years and years and years and it works and you have no problem, I don't care what the statistics say or what one guy happened to read in a magazine or whatever. I got the red now because the red, I ran out of the blue and I've had the red, and I used the red on the last couple builds I did. I mean, just a tiny, tiny drop. And this is the high strength stuff. Some guys worry about it eating plastic up and stuff like that. You see me doing it right here. I've been using thread locker blue and red and whatever I happen to have since the 80s, and I've never had a problem. So, and again, it's not like you're going to be taking this car apart, these A-arms apart, every week. It's just not, it's not going to happen. You're just not going to be taking it apart all the time. So, say I don't have a problem. And the key, and I can't stress it enough, is to make sure that you have the picture in your head how everything is supposed to go, and you follow the instructions exactly to what they say to do, and you won't have any problem. You really won't. So we were talking about motors, break-in motors. I want to bring it up in this video, man, because I'll tell you, we've had such a controversy on motors, how to break in a brush motor. And I've outlined a procedure, okay? I've outlined a procedure, and I have a video on it, and I've talked about it numerous times. And I don't mind helping anybody out. I will help anybody out that wants my help. But the one thing that aggravates me a little bit is if somebody asks me for my help, and I tell them, and then they like argue with me and tell me that it's not, you know, don't argue with me. Just if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. It's your prerogative. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to take my advice, take my advice. If you don't want to take my advice, don't take my advice, or don't ask me and then just tell me that you don't need to do what I'm telling you anyway, because I'm trying to help people out. And if they don't want my help, that's totally fine. I'm cool with that. So, but this breaking in the motor thing with water, I have yet to see anybody tell me or show me proof that a water break-in is better than using electric motor cleaner spray. Hopefully that's getting in the picture. That's what this stuff is designed for. And it doesn't have to be PowerShot. It can be any brand. It's designed for that. It's designed to clean motors, to clean brush surfaces. This dipping in water, a metal can motor. This motor right here, this 380 motor, is most of it is plastic. The shaft is plastic. The can is, the end bell is plastic. The can is steel. The shaft is steel. It has brass bushings in there, and obviously the windings and stuff, the wire is not steel. Copper. But here's the thing. This thing will take in moisture inside there, and if you don't completely get all that water out of there, it's going to rust. I don't care what anybody says. I've had them happen. I've had them happen to me. You rinse this thing out and you think you're drying it all and you don't get all the water out, you're going to start corrosion inside that motor. It just does not make sense. And then we talked about the cleaning and then the WD-40. Well, why are you going to dip it in water and then use WD-40? WD-40 dissipates water. So you're basically using the WD-40 to get rid of the water that you put in there, which served no purpose because the WD-40 cleans too. So it just makes no sense. If somebody had some solid evidence saying that, you know, why they would use water instead of using the stuff that's made for the motor that's been made for years, and I'm going to say this. I've been using this method since the mid to late 80s. My uncle Gene, used to race the 120 Ford scale slot cars back in the day, way back in the day. He used to wind his own armatures and make his own motors from scratch. He used to drag race and he competed and he won all the time. My dad worked on trains for years, electric trains, and he was into slot cars too when he was young. And ever since I was growing up, ever since I was a kid, all I ever saw was the pinpoint oilers for electric motors like this and the electric motor spray for the motors. So I don't know where this stuff came from, but you don't need water to do it. I'm telling you here right now, you don't need water to do it. If you want to do it and you have done it for years and it works for you, well, so be it. You do your thing, it's your equipment. But if somebody's asking me for my honest opinion on what to do, and I'm telling you what my honest, logical, working on machinery for a living, that's part of my job, is working on machinery and equipment, and I have an understanding of how things work, and the water has no place in this motor unless you're a crawler and you're driving through rivers and stuff and you're getting it wet because of your enjoyment of the hobby and you're doing it, and then you have a great maintenance program that you're going to get this thing completely dried out and lubed before it rusts away. Or if you rust away a motor every couple months and you buy a new one and you don't care, well then that's fine. It's your money. I can't say that, but like I say, I will help anybody and give anybody advice. But if you ask me for my opinion, then that's telling me that you want to hear what I have to say. So anyway, I'm getting on a major ramble there. So we're going to finish putting this together, putting these bottom screws in there. We'll put the bushings in the outside, and then this section will be done. We'll go on to the next step, which is going to be step number 14, friction shock assembly, which I'm a big fan of. If it said oil on there, I'd probably throw the oil out because I'm liking the friction dampeners more and more every day. I really like them because I grew up with these old Tamiyas that all came with friction well, I shouldn't say that. The Hornet had oil filled on the rear and coil or friction damper in the front. But so, all right, here's my motor braking on this one. Normally I do it with the motor completely out of the vehicle and just freewheeling, but I don't really care, to be honest with you, that much about this 380. If it doesn't last real long, but this is still a good braking you can do. The only difference is I'm running through the gearbox. I just got a single AA battery tape, running the motor, spinning around nice and free. Sup, YouTubers? Working on the old Kumamon. Give you a shot of this. Whole gearbox together, motor's just been broken in. Suspension and everything all in order. Front set. A little weird the way this mounts. The shocks are upside down, which is actually kind of strange. But it's the way it calls for. I looked at it like 4 times to make sure it was right, and it's right. So, chassis, little battery hold down. Just pop that on there. And now I'm going to be on step number 20, which is going to be setting up the servo and the servo saver and everything. What I did was I used my last extra old Futaba servo that I had. So I had to splice the wires and I got that all set. And that's going to be my servo for Grace's car. And I got some big plans for this thing. I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to do to it, and I'm going to do some pretty cool stuff, and I'm not going to let it all out now, but I'm going to be doing some really cool stuff on this car for it. So I'm going to get on to step now 20. And here I'm rocking out a little bit here. I like to play my hair metal playlist when I build these kits. My old 80s rock. Keeps me motivated. Really gets me in the mode to build. I don't like to film every spot or every part of it. I don't want to sit here and turning screws, you know, for 20 minutes. So I kind of like to do little bits so I can enjoy and get into the build. And then I pay him back every so often to let you know where we're at and what we got going here up to the point. So I'm going to take care of the servo, and then I believe I'll start attaching the front half and the back half to the chassis, and we'll be pretty close. Now when I get this all put together, I got a lot of plans for the body, and that's going to take some time. So I'm going to get the chassis done. I got to get the radio for it. I'm going to get the TTX Tactic 300 radio. I haven't had that one. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so that's going to be the radio she's going to have. All right.